only a half mile to Multnomah Falls. Alright, let's go do Wahkeena Falls. Alright, we're gonna go photograph Wahkeena Falls. It's been raining. It's actually kind of benefits me because it's a little cloudy and the sun won't be really harsh when I go to take pictures. So it's actually a good day to photograph some waterfalls. So we're gonna check out Wahkeena and then we're gonna go to another fall afterwards. So far the trails are really nice. It's paved and relatively gradual uphill. A little bit of a leg burner, but not too bad. So we reached the main viewing area of Wahkeena Falls, and it's actually really beautiful, but there's a lot of spray, so it's gonna be a little challenging to photograph. So I'm gonna try my best, and then I'm gonna work my way to Multnomah waterfall, which I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Probably not, but that is supposed to be really spectacular. A lot of people told me to go visit and check that out, so that's coming up next. Alright, so I finished photographing Wahkeena Falls and I got some really cool compositions that I can't wait to edit. Now we're headed to the next waterfall and hopefully that's equally as impressive. So I'll catch you guys there. It's definitely cooler down there. That's pretty cool though. Thank you.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good. Top, baby. We're gonna go to the top. All right, so we're at the second waterfall, Multnomah Falls, which I'm actually really glad we parked at Wahkeena Falls to avoid all the traffic and the parking. And we're gonna go for a little hike. Got a beautiful view of the Columbia River. I just finished shooting at Multnomah Falls. It was really packed there, so I have some photoshopping to do to get the people off the bridge. And Janelle's favorite part was getting some roasted almonds, since I was just so busy and we weren't really digging all the people there. So next we're gonna go head to the hotel and plan out the next spot I'm gonna go shooting. So see you guys then. All right, so we're at Horsetail Falls and it's actually a clear sky today, so it's quite bright. It's gonna make photographing waterfalls a little tricky because you might get some hot spots with the sun shining through the trees. Typically you want to photograph waterfalls when it's nice and cloudy, or early in the morning or later on in the evening. But I'm gonna try and make the best of it. It's very pretty still. It doesn't look like the sun is actually hitting this waterfall just yet, so I'm gonna go capture some pictures. All right, so I just finished taking some shots of this waterfall, and that water is cold. I'm glad I brought some water shoes though, because it allows me to get some different perspectives that other people might not be able to get. And I'll post that picture right now. All right, we just wrapped up shooting at Upper Horsetail Falls, also known as Ponytail Falls, I believe. And man, this place is really cool. There's like a little cave that goes behind the waterfall, so I highly recommend checking that out. Sorry, we got a train passing by. Very cool place. So a couple of the waterfalls I wanted to go and photograph. The trails are closed, but the great thing about the Columbia River Gorge is there's no shortage of hiking trails and waterfalls to see. So we found a backup plan, Lancaster Falls and Hole-in-the-Wall Falls. So I'm gonna start that hike right now. And also another great thing about these waterfalls is a lot of the hikes are only about a mile. So they're really not super strenuous for people that don't want to hike deep into the forest to find them or anything like that. So that's just something to keep in mind. All right, so I will start recording when I get closer to the falls. Have we got a picture of this on the way back? That's the trail, yeah, he will.
Or did you think? Do you know which waterfall this is?
Probably a hole in the wall.
Hole in the wall?
I believe so.
Okay.
Because I think Lancaster is like the last. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so I just finished photographing Hole in the Wall waterfall, or at least I believe it is that particular waterfall. There's no sign over here that indicates which one it is, but it actually came out really nicely. You know, I have to bite my own words because earlier I said photographing waterfalls, it's better during a cloudy day or early in the morning or later on in the evening. But these waterfalls are kind of hidden really well from the sun, so you could still pull off some decent long exposures and not get harsh lighting on them. So it's actually working out quite nicely, and the sun is helping me make the photo more interesting because I'm getting good sun flares higher above the waterfalls. As long as it's like the first half of the day when the sun is behind a lot of these waterfalls. I think as it starts to drift further west, it'll probably get a little worse with the lighting, but so far so good. So I'm gonna work my way to Lancaster Falls next. All right, so we got here a little too late in the day. The sun was too high, and the shots might come out all right, but it was really hard to do a long exposure, even with my filters, because of the glare that I was getting from the sun. And I'm gonna come back a little earlier in the morning tomorrow. That way I don't have to worry about the sun, and I get a nice even exposure, and it'll look silky smooth. So yeah, it happens. We just we didn't time it right, and like I said, the sun can either help or hurt you, and in this case it was hurting the photograph. So this is the view while walking up to Lancaster Falls. It's not really well marked. None of these waterfalls have any type of mile marker or anything like that, but the good thing is it's not really a heavily trafficked area with people, so we kind of had the whole place to ourselves, which was really nice. So I highly recommend checking it out and enjoying the view. All right, so I just finished photographing Lancaster Falls again. I came a little earlier today. It's around 9 o'clock, and the lighting was just perfect. I didn't even need to use any filters, which is awesome. And I also recommend bringing some type of water socks or water shoes, because if you want to get some really good perspectives, you might have to get your feet wet like I did today. I bought these on Amazon for 20 bucks. I'll leave the links in the description below. But so far so good. I've been hiking with them past few days. I put about 12 miles on these things, so you know, they're relatively comfy. You can feel the rocks through them, but I'm kind of used to that, so it's not really a big deal for me, because I'm used to those like 5-finger shoes that are really thin soles. So if you don't really like that feel, then these wouldn't be for you. But so far they've been working great for me, so definitely check them out. All right, we're off to Hole-in-the-Wall Falls. I just want to retake some photos there as well, and then we're gonna go to Beacon Rock. So I'll touch base with you guys then. I'm back at Hole-in-the-Wall Falls. I got some shots here from yesterday that I really liked with the light, but I also want to get some shots without the light just in case. And it's a good time to do it, early in the morning. I'm not sure if the audio will pick up too well with the waterfall behind me, but yeah, it's just a beautiful falls to check out if you're over here. I'll tell you one thing, that cold water is refreshing on my feet after all the hiking we've been doing. And it was a little tricky taking the shots of the waterfall because there's some wind, and the foliage around the waterfall is getting blown around from the wind. So I had to do some higher ISO exposures at a faster shutter just to kind of freeze those from getting too blurry in the picture. And then I took some longer exposures for the waterfall itself, just to give me that nice smooth silky water. And what I'm going to do is just blend those images together to get a nice sharp image overall. Now for anybody interested in going to Lancaster Falls or Hole-in-the-Wall Falls, you want to stay on the Mount Defiance Trail. There's really no trail markers for these two waterfalls, so just stay on the Mount Defiance Trail and you'll run into both of them. Okay, it's time to go to the next destination. So we bailed on Beacon Rock, and we ended up going to Lost Lake instead. It's really cool here, just walking around in the forest, but I plan on taking some pictures of Mount Hood and the lake when it's a little closer to sunset. Unfortunately, Beacon Rock, you have to pay for parking, and the pay station was broken, and they did have an envelope so you could pay manually, but I didn't have the exact change. I think it was like 10 bucks, which I didn't have on me, so we ended up bailing. But it's okay, there's plenty to see here, and now I'm just gonna enjoy the views at Lost Lake. Alright, so I just want to end this vlog with a quick tutorial. This is a shot I took at Hole-in-the-Wall waterfall, and it was very windy that day, so when I took a long exposure of this waterfall to get that silky smooth water, a lot of the trees and the leaves were pretty blurry. Let me just zoom in here so you can see. And we don't want that. We want a nice sharp foreground. So what I like to do is also take images of a waterfall without any filters, and I might have to raise the ISO too, depending how dark it is in that area, but this gives me a sharper image. As you can see here, I think this was taken at like 1/40th of a second or 1/20th of a second, but the leaves are much sharper, and my ISO was around 500, so it's not too terrible, but you can see it's much better than this. Now you just need a program that allows you to create a layer mask. So for this tutorial I'm using Photoshop, but you could definitely do this in a program like Affinity or Luminar. So with my sharp layer on top, I'm just going to create a layer mask and make sure I have black selected, and that's going to reveal when I start painting in this area. Let me just grab my brush tool. The opacity is set to 100 and my hardness is at 0%. Let me just increase the size of the brush, and I'm just gonna paint right along the waterfall area. Now I do have a couple leaves right here that go into the water area and they're starting to get a little blurry. I could just clone those out later, but for this tutorial I just want to do something really quick so you can see how easy it is to have a nice sharp foreground and silky smooth water. So hopefully this tip helps you guys out. Take it easy and please like and subscribe. Take care.